Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing another wrap-up video for you. I am finally catching up on all of my book reviews and it feels so good to do so. And I'm also finally back into reading mode. I've been doing well and much better than I was the past couple of months. So I'm feeling good about all of that. But I'm going to be talking about books number 51 to 55 that I've read so far this year. So here we go. So the first book that I read is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. And this book seems to be pretty polarizing, but I ended up falling on the side of people who really enjoyed it. It follows a girl named Penny and a guy named Sam. The two of them end up becoming each other's emergency contacts after an incident that occurs. They really start to get to know each other via text. They don't ever hang out in person, but they just seem to be able to talk to each other very comfortably despite kind of being strangers. I felt like the way they developed their relationship was so realistic, and I'm sure that a lot of you would agree because I know that the way that I've met a ton of my friends have been through communicating online before ever hanging out in person. So it really is a good way to get to know someone before you ever go and hang out with them in real life. Obviously be careful because it could also be dangerous, but overall I've had really good experiences and it's always been through getting to know people digitally first. So Penny is a really sarcastic character and she is a creative writer. I really liked the parts where she would be talking about the different types of science fiction that she would be writing. I felt like that really added to the story for me. And then Sam, on the other hand, is a filmmaker and he is kind of working on a documentary. So I like that the two of them both had this creative personalities. So they had that in common and it probably made it easier to relate to one another. Sam's definitely going through a really messy situation. While Penny never opens up about anything in her personal life, she does have her own things that she is dealing with. You do find out what some of those are a little bit closer to the end of the novel. There are some heavy topics that are touched upon, but as I just said, they are touched upon. There's not anything that is very deeply explored, but I do think that everything was handled very well. I know a lot of people have said that Penny is an unlikable narrator, but I personally really enjoyed her perspective. So I thought the story was really cute. It was really quick paced. Just the banter between the two of them kept me going. I really loved the text messages and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is her new middle grade novel that is coming out in August of this year. It follows a girl named Cassidy and Cassidy's life is full of ghosts. After a near-death experience, the veil has kind of been lifted for Cassidy, so she's able to see all of these ghosts that other people are not able to see. Her best friend is a ghost and funnily enough, her parents are ghost hunters. At the beginning of the novel, they get an offer to go to Edinburgh in Scotland because it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world, and they're going there to look at all those haunted places and make a show about it. So Cassidy is forced to go along with them, even though that is not what she was looking forward to for the summer. She really just wanted to go to Long Island and swim in her pool and not have to deal with many ghosts, but that is just not the way that it goes. So I really loved the travel aspect of the story, and I also really loved the main villainous ghost that we get to know a little bit in here. I thought it was so well done. I was so into the book, so enthralled the whole time. I loved the story. I thought it was such a great idea. Because it is middle grade, I really did want more from it. I wish that it would have been an extra 100 to 200 pages and I would have read it just as quickly, but I did really enjoy it for what it was, and I get that it's for a younger audience. It still was pretty creepy. There were definitely moments where I was like, ooh. But yeah, Victoria's writing is just absolutely incredible and I really loved it, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm so glad that it's a series because I can't wait to get back into it. Then I read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is the first book in a mystery trilogy. The first one came out in January of this year and I had been meaning to read it since then, but I finally got to it and I really enjoyed it. It follows our main character, Stevie Bell, who's been accepted to go to Ellingham Academy, and she is super interested in crime, but specifically in the crime that occurred at Ellingham Academy in, I want to say 1936. She is determined to get to Ellingham and try to solve the crime that no one has been able to solve thus far. One thing that I really liked about the book is that it flip-flops between the current time at Ellingham Academy, and then you also get the perspectives of people that were involved in the police investigation that was going on right when the murders or disappearances happened. It is really interesting. I'm so curious to know what it is that actually happened. You get to see the night of that and one of the other students that was involved in it. It's really fun to just see Stevie get to know her classmates, not necessarily trust everybody, and try to figure out what it is that's going on. And while she is there, another murder or suicide happens, but Stevie does not believe that it was an accident, so she starts investigating it a little bit further, even though she's really not supposed to be doing that. The story took a very interesting turn, and I'm really looking forward to the next one because the ending was a huge cliffhanger, but it was so good, and I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. Next, I read Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the conclusion to the Warcross duology. It's coming out in September, and I was so highly anticipating this one. It was one of the ones that I wanted to get most from Book Expo, and thankfully I was able to get a copy. I really loved this ending. I loved the direction that the story took. For those who don't know, Warcross follows a main character named Emika, who is a bounty hunter within the virtual game of Warcross. There was a security breach that happened at the championship last year. She was whisked away to Tokyo by the game's creator, Hideo Tanaka, in order to try to find the security breach. And it was so exciting and I loved it. And like her and the team that she worked on would play Mario Kart together in order to train, and it just like made me so happy. This one, I have to say, was the same exact way. Obviously, we're picking up at a more tense point in the story. There are a lot of people who know who Emika is at this point. There are a lot of targets on her back, and there are other forces at hand to what she discovered in the first book. So I thought that everything that we learned in here was so interesting. I really liked the way that the story played out. I particularly loved the ending, and especially the absolute last page is just such an anime thing. So like this duology just reads to me exactly as an anime. I would love to see it animated. I would love it, like without a doubt. I love Emika. I love the other cast of characters that are in here, particularly Asher, a new character that we meet in here, and Hideo himself. All of them like have a special place within my heart. I really loved it. It was really quick paced. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of surprises, and you just got so much backstory and so much information that you were craving to know in the first book. So it was a really satisfying read and a really satisfying conclusion, and I'm so happy that this is a duology and that it wasn't stretched into a trilogy, because it really was not necessary and everything wrapped up very nicely. So I ended up giving Wildcard 5 out of 5 stars. And then lastly, I read Campfire by Sean Sarles. This book is coming out very soon, if it's not out already by the time I post this. Actually, it probably is. But this is a horror novel, and it follows a girl named Maddie, and her family friends go on this last camping trip before her brother is leaving to go off to college. And it really reminded me of Are You Afraid of the Dark, because we have all of the characters sitting around this campfire telling each other scary stories, and their guide warns them that if you tell a scary story underneath the full moon, that it's bound to come true. So that was a little bit creepy. And then after one story is told, the next day the story does start coming true. So Maddie and her closest friends and family are now being hunted by these mountain men who carve antlers on people that are in their forest, and it was really good. Like, this was definitely the kind of horror that I loved when I was a kid. Like I said, it had hints of Are You Afraid of the Dark with the campfire stories, but it definitely went a lot further and had a lot more going on. Like, it reminded me a lot of kind of like a mix of Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought the way that it was told was really good. I really liked the way that everything wrapped up. I liked the motivations behind everything that were going on in the story. A lot of times I feel like YA horror can be like very hit or miss, but this one was definitely a hit for me. It was just exactly what I wanted, and I'm so glad. It really delivered. It's definitely a bit on the scary side, so if you're a little bit squeamish or you can't really handle that kind of stuff, I would definitely steer clear of it. But for those of you who are horror enthusiasts such as myself, I would definitely recommend picking up a copy because you will not be disappointed. And I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. So those are all of the books that I had to talk about this time around. Let me know if you have read any of them or if you're looking forward to reading any of them. I know some of them are some arcs, so they're not necessarily out yet, but I'm glad that I was able to review them for you so that you know that you need them, because they were all so good. That is all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!